Tay's fingers moved quickly across the light screen as he sorted through the day's updates to the Galactic database. After 3 years working in the Outer Rim archives, his promotion to senior archivist at Starbase Nexus should have felt more exciting. Instead, he spent his days checking and sorting data. Important work, but not the adventure he had hoped for. 6 more hours, he muttered, taking a sip from his cup of hot tea. The viewing window beside his desk showed the endless darkness of space, broken only by distant stars and passing ships. His screen beeped as it flagged an update requiring review, standard procedure for newly classified planets. Tay sighed and opened the file. Computer, show me the changes to Sector 8721, routine update. The screen filled with rows of planets, most labeled with simple tags: habitable, mining colony, toxic, atmosphere or protected ecosystem. Tay had seen thousands of these. He scrolled through the list, approving each change with a quick tap. Then he stopped. Something was wrong. A small blue-green planet near the edge of the sector carried a bright red label: off limits. No exceptions. Tay frowned. Red labels were rare, usually reserved for planets with deadly diseases or ongoing wars. But those always included detailed warnings and reasons. This planet, Earth, according to its data, had no explanation at all. Just the warning and the highest security classification he had ever seen. Computer, show full history of planet Earth. Classification changes. The screen blinked and displayed a simple timeline. Earth had been classified as off-limits exactly 300 standard years ago. The order came directly from the High Council itself. Before that, it had been marked as primitive life, observation only. What could have happened to change its status so dramatically? Tay tried accessing the historical records. The screen flashed. Access denied. Council clearance required. His curiosity grew stronger. In 5 years of archive work, he had never been denied access to basic planetary history. Everything all right over there, Tay? You look troubled. Tay looked up to see June, his supervisor, watching him with a raised eyebrow. June was older, with gray streaks in his dark hair and the tired eyes of someone who had spent too many years staring at screens. Sir, have you ever seen a planet with this classification before? Tay turned his screen so June could see. June glanced at it and shrugged. Earth? Probably just bureaucratic nonsense. The outer systems are full of these warnings. Someone marks a planet dangerous, then no one bothers to check if it still is. But this came from the High Council directly. And look, the warning gets renewed every 50 years. The last renewal was just 2 years ago. June's casual expression faltered. That is unusual. But it's not our job to question council decisions, just to maintain the records. He tapped Tay's desk. I'd let this one go if I were you. After June walked away, Tay couldn't stop thinking about Earth. He pulled up the star charts for that sector. Earth sat in a system with 8 other planets orbiting an ordinary yellow star. Nothing special, except for that warning. He checked the traffic records next. In 3 centuries, not a single ship had visited Earth's system and returned. Even the automatic probes sent to update data on all planets had been sent back from the edge of the system, never entering. When his shift ended, Tay packed his things but couldn't shake his curiosity. Instead of heading to his quarters, he made his way to the communications hub where his old academy friend Hana worked. The hub buzzed with activity as workers monitored signals from across the galaxy. Hana sat at her station, her dark hair pulled back neatly, eyes focused on her screen. She smiled when she saw Tay. The famous senior archivist finally visits us common folk, she teased, standing to give him a quick hug. What brings you down to communications? Tay looked around to make sure no one was listening. I need your help with something strange I found today. Can we talk somewhere private? Hana's smile faded at his serious tone. My shift ends in 20 minutes. Meet me at the Stellar Cafe. The Stellar Cafe sat on the edge of the station's main plaza, offering views of both the busy station life and the stars beyond. Tay found a quiet table in the corner and ordered drinks for both of them. When Hana arrived, she slid into the seat across from him. Okay, what's this big mystery? Tay showed her his personal tablet with the Earth file he had copied. Have you ever heard of this planet? Earth? Hana studied the screen. No, but I don't work with the planetary databases. It's listed as absolutely off-limits, highest security classification, but with no explanation why. The warning has been in place for 300 years and gets renewed by the Council itself. That is weird, Hana admitted. Have you checked the communications records? Maybe there's something about why ships avoid it. Tay shook his head. I don't have access to those. That's why I need your help. Hana hesitated. Tay, if this has Council-level security, we could both lose our jobs for looking into it. I know, but doesn't it seem wrong? A whole planet marked dangerous with no explanation? What if there are people there who need help? Or what if there's something the public should know about? Hana sipped her drink, thinking. You always did. Care too much about things, she said finally. Give me a day. I'll see what I can find in the communication archives. 2 days later, Tay received a message from Hana. Found something. Meet me at my quarters tonight. Don't tell anyone. When Tay arrived, Hana looked nervous. She had pulled all the blinds and turned off most of the lights. I think someone's watching who accesses Earth's files, she said quietly. When I looked at the communication logs, a flag was triggered. My supervisor asked why I was looking at restricted files. What did you tell him? That it was a mistake. But look at what I found before that happened. She handed him her tablet. On the screen was a simple list. Every 50 years, the same message was sent to the High Council. Earth containment status. Review, maintain current protocols, threat assessment unchanged. Containment? Tay whispered. They're not keeping people out, they're keeping something in. There's more, Hana said. Earth status is renewed by direct council order without any debate. It happens automatically. And the first order came right after something called the Maru incident. But I can't find any record of what that was. Tay felt a chill. A ship called the Maru must have gone to Earth 300 years ago. Something happened and now the planet is forbidden. But why keep it secret? Why not just say it's dangerous? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Tay stood up, his mind racing with possibilities. That night back in his quarters, Tay found a message waiting on his personal tablet. The sender was anonymous, the text simple. Stop asking questions about Earth. Some warnings exist for a reason. Tay stared at the screen, his heart beating faster. Someone knew what he was doing. Someone was watching. But instead of feeling afraid, he felt certain he was onto something important. What happened on Earth, he whispered to himself. And why doesn't anyone want us to know? 3 days passed since Tay received the warning message. He had checked his personal tablet for signs of hacking, but found nothing. Someone with high-level access must have sent it. Despite the warning, or perhaps because of it, Tay could not stop thinking about Earth. If someone wanted him to stop asking questions, there must be important answers to find. He met Hana in a quiet corner of the station's garden dome. Real plants from dozens of worlds grew here, making it both beautiful and private. The sound of flowing water helped cover their conversation. We need to be careful, Hana said, looking around to make sure no one was nearby. But I found something about the Maru. She showed him her tablet, carefully angled so only he could see. On it was an old ship registry. The Maru was a science vessel, she explained. It disappeared exactly 298 years ago. The official record says it was lost in a space storm, but I found something else. She swiped to a new page, a crew manifest. 7 names appeared, led by Dr. Suk, listed as the mission's chief scientist. Dr. Suk was a famous xenobiologist, Hana said. She studied new life forms. Why would her disappearance be hidden? Unless she found something on Earth they want to keep secret, Tay finished. Hana nodded. I managed to access one partial transmission from the Maru before my security clearance was suddenly revoked this morning. Tay looked at her with alarm. Revoked? Will you get in trouble? My supervisor said it was a routine system update, Hana said, but her voice showed she didn't believe it. Anyway, here's the transmission. It's the last one sent by the Maru. She played the audio file. A woman's voice, tight with urgency, came through. They are not primitive at all. The humans, they can see us through our... The message cut to static. That's all there is, Hannah said. The file was heavily protected, buried under layers of classification. Tay sat back, thinking. Humans must be the beings who live on Earth. Dr. Suk thought they were primitive, but discovered they weren't. And something happened to her ship. Right after, Hannah added. The timing matches perfectly with when Earth was first classified as off-limits. Tay looked at the crew list again. Do any of these people have family still alive? Someone who might know more? Hannah shook her head. I checked. Most were single. The records about their families are surprisingly empty, like they've been erased. Or hidden, Tay said. He pointed to one name, Assistant Researcher Jun. This family name is the same as Professor Day at the Outer Rim Observatory. He's very old now, but could he be related? Hannah's eyes widened. It's possible. The observatory is only 2 days' travel from here. I have some vacation time saved, Tay said. I could go. Hannah corrected. My access here is already limited now. I might as well come with you. Tay hesitated. Are you sure? This might be dangerous. Hannah smiled. More dangerous than spending my life wondering what really happened? I don't think so. 2 days later, their small transport ship docked at the Outer Rim Observatory. Built into an asteroid, the facility housed 30 researchers who studied distant galaxies and cosmic events. Professor Day was not happy to see them. The old man's face hardened when they mentioned Earth. I have nothing to say about that place, he said, turning away from them in his cluttered office. Star charts and old paper books filled the shelves. You should leave. Please, Tay said. We believe your grandfather was Jun, who served on the Maru. We just want to understand what happened. The old man's hands shook slightly. What happened? They died. All of them. That's what happened. Now go. Hannah stepped forward. Sir, Earth is still classified as completely off-limits. No one is allowed to go there with no explanation why. Don't you think people deserve to know the truth? Professor Day stared at her for a long moment. Finally, he sighed and closed the door to his office. My grandfather didn't die with the others, he said quietly. He was sick and stayed behind when the Maru made its final approach to Earth. He lived the rest of his life with the guilt of surviving when his friends didn't. Tay felt his heart beat faster. Did he know what they found there? He knew some things. Enough to have nightmares. The old man walked to his desk and pressed his hand against a hidden scanner. A drawer slid open, revealing an old-fashioned paper journal. My grandfather kept this. He never submitted these observations to the official records. Professor Day handed the journal to Tay. I've kept it hidden all these years. Maybe it's time someone knew. Tay opened the journal carefully. The pages were filled with handwritten notes and simple drawings. He began to read aloud. Day 54. We've been observing Earth from a distance. Dr. Suk is fascinated by the humans. They've managed to reach their own moon, which is impressive for such a young species. Their technology advances quickly, but they're still primitive by our standards. Dr. Suk plans to move closer tomorrow. He turned the page. Day 55. Something strange happened today. Our sensors detected unusual energy patterns from Earth's surface. Dr. Suk thinks the humans might be more advanced in certain areas than we thought. She's excited to study them up close. Hannah pointed to the next entry. Look at this one. Tay continued reading. Day 56. Dr. Suk took the Maru into Earth's orbit today. They're using our best cloaking technology so the humans shouldn't detect them. I wish I was well enough to go. From what I can see on the monitors, Earth is beautiful. Blue oceans, green and brown land masses, white clouds. It looks peaceful, Libby. Next entry was written in shaky handwriting. Day 57. Something's wrong. The Maru sent one transmission, then went silent. Dr. Suk sounded afraid. She said the humans could see them somehow, even through the cloaking field. How is that possible? The council is sending messages, but no one from the Maru is answering. The final entry was the most disturbing. Day 60. The council questioned me for hours today. They took all the official records. They're classifying everything about Earth. I heard them talking. They're afraid of the humans. The council underestimated them severely. These humans, they don't think like us. They see things differently. And now the council is trying to pretend the Maru never existed. Tay closed the journal, his mind racing. The humans detected a ship that should have been invisible, and they did something to it. Or the council did something to hide the truth, Hannah suggested. Professor Day took back the journal. My grandfather believed the humans weren't hostile, just different. He thought the council was wrong to cut off all contact. Do you have any other information about Earth? Tay asked. The old man hesitated, then nodded slowly. There's a rumor among the oldest researchers. They say there's a secret monitoring station hidden in the asteroid field at the edge of Earth's solar system. If you really want answers, that's where you should look. How would we find it? Hannah asked. I can give you the coordinates of where to start searching, Professor Day said. But be careful. If the rumors are true, that station is there for a reason, and the people who run it won't welcome visitors. As they prepared to leave, Professor Day held Tay's arm. My grandfather spent his life regretting that he never learned what really happened to his friends. If you discover the truth, will you come back and tell me? Tay nodded. I promise. Back on their transport ship, Hannah entered the coordinates Professor Day had given them. Are we really doing this? She asked. Looking for a secret station that might not even exist? Tay looked at the star map showing their course to the edges of Earth's solar system. We've come this far. Don't you want to know why an entire planet has been cut off from the galaxy for 3 centuries? Hannah smiled nervously. Yes, but I also want to live to tell about it. The ship's engines hummed as they set off into the darkness of space, heading toward forbidden territory and whatever secrets waited there. Tay pressed his face against the viewing port of their small transport ship. Outside, thousands of asteroids floated in the darkness of space. They had been searching for 3 days, following the coordinates Professor Day had given them, but had found nothing that looked like a monitoring station. Maybe it doesn't exist, Tay said, rubbing his tired eyes. Or maybe it was shut down years ago. Hannah didn't look up from the ship's controls. One more sweep, then we'll head back. We're already pushing our luck being this close to Earth's solar system. Their ship moved slowly through the asteroid field. The scanner showed nothing but rock and ice. Then, as they passed behind a particularly large asteroid, an alert sounded. Energy reading, Hannah said, suddenly sitting up straight. Very faint, but it's there. Tay looked at the scanner. A small dot of light pulsed on the screen. Can you tell what it is? It's some kind of shield or cloaking field, Hannah replied. Similar to what ships use, but covering something much larger. They guided their ship closer, moving carefully around the asteroids. As they approached the source of the energy reading, the ship's communication system activated by itself. A stern voice filled the cabin. Unidentified vessel. You have entered a restricted area. Identify yourself immediately or face defensive measures. Tay and Hannah looked at each other nervously. They hadn't prepared for this possibility. This is Transport Vessel 7209, Hannah said, using their ship's official designation. We're conducting a routine survey of the asteroid field. There was a pause before the voice responded. Your vessel is not authorized for survey missions in this sector. Prepare to be scanned. A beam of light swept over their ship. Tay held his breath, knowing the scan would reveal they were not on any official mission. Transport Vessel 7209, your crew does not match any authorized survey team, the voice said. State your true purpose or we will disable your engines. Tay decided to take a risk. We're researching the planet Earth and the Maru incident, he said. I'm Senior Archivist Tay from Starbase Nexus. My research is authorized. Another long pause followed. Then, maintain your position. Docking procedure will begin shortly. To their surprise, a section of what had appeared to be a normal asteroid began to move. A hidden door slid open, revealing a docking bay inside. What do we do? Hannah whispered. We go in. Tay replied. This is what we came to find. Their ship was pulled inside by an invisible tractor beam. The door closed behind them, and lights came on, revealing a small but modern docking facility built inside the asteroid. When they exited their ship, 3 security officers waited for them. The officers wore simple gray uniforms with no insignia or rank markings. "Follow us," one of the officers said. "Commander Jin wants to speak with you." They were led through narrow corridors carved into the asteroid. Tay noticed that despite the station's hidden nature, it was well maintained and equipped with the latest technology. They entered a room with viewing screens covering an entire wall. A woman stood with her back to them, studying the displays. She wore the same gray uniform but had a single red stripe on her sleeve. "Commander Jin," the security officer announced. "The visitors from Transport 7209. Jin turned to face them. She was older than Tay had expected, with lines around her eyes that suggested years of stress. "Senior Archivist Tay," she said, looking him over. "And you are?" she asked, turning to Hana. "Communications Specialist Hana, also from Starbase Nexus," Hana replied, trying to sound confident. Jin studied them both. "You claimed your research was authorized." "By whom?" Tay swallowed hard. "Not directly authorized," he admitted. "But I found Earth's unusual classification during my official duties. When I tried to learn more, I discovered most records were hidden. Surely as a Federation citizen, I have the right to understand why an entire planet is off limits?" Jin's expression remained cold. "You have no rights here. This station doesn't officially exist, and neither does your visit." She stepped closer to them. "I should place you both under arrest and report you to the Council." "Please," Hana said. "We only want to understand what happened to the Maru expedition and why Earth is so dangerous." Something changed in Jin's expression at the mention of the Maru. "What do you know about the Maru?" Tay explained about finding the warning label, discovering the expedition records, and meeting Professor Day. He showed her the notes he had taken about the journal. Jin listened carefully, then turned back to the viewing screens. After a long moment, she sighed. "You've risked a lot to come here. Maybe it's time someone knew the truth." She pressed a button on a control panel. "But first, I need to know how you found us. Professor Day told us there might be a monitoring station here," Tay said. He didn't know exactly where. "Day," Jin repeated. "That makes sense. His grandfather was the only one who knew the truth and lived." She seemed to make a decision. "I'll show you what we do here, but then you must leave and never return. Understood?" They both nodded. Jin gestured to the screens on the wall. "This station has one purpose, to watch Earth from a safe distance." She touched a control and the screens changed to show different views of a blue-green planet. "Earth?" Hana asked. Jin nodded. "We maintain a network of stealthed satellites at the edge of their detection range. We observe but never approach." "But why?" Tay asked. "What makes Earth so dangerous?" "Not Earth itself," Jin replied. "The humans." She touched another control, and the screens showed images of cities, vehicles, and people. "They look simple, don't they? But don't be fooled." She brought up an image of what appeared to be a spacecraft. "The Federation classifies humans as a pre-FTL species. They've only reached their own moon and sent simple probes to nearby planets in their system. But their technological development doesn't follow normal patterns." The screen showed a timeline of human technology. Most species develop space travel after mastering planetary resources and establishing global unity. Humans did the opposite. They're divided into competing nations, yet they've developed technologies that even the Federation struggles with. "Like what?" Hana asked. "Quantum computing, cybernetic interfaces, and weapons," Jin said, her voice growing serious. "They've created weapons following principles our scientists don't fully understand." Tay frowned. "But if they're still confined to their own solar system, how are they a threat to the galaxy?" Jin touched another control and the screens showed a small Federation probe being captured by a human ship. This happened 50 years ago. One of our observation drones malfunctioned and drifted too close to Earth. Watch what they did. The humans brought the probe aboard their ship and began to take it apart. Now watch this, Jin said, changing to another recording. This is a human vessel they built 1 month later. The new ship clearly incorporated elements from the Federation probe. Its propulsion system mimicked Federation technology, but with modifications. 1 month, Jin repeated. It took them 1 month to understand and adapt technology that took us a century to develop. This is why Earth is off limits. You don't keep others away from Earth, Tay said, understanding finally dawning. You keep Earth contained within its system, Jin nodded. The off-limits designation isn't to protect visitors, it's to protect the entire galaxy. From what? Hana asked. They haven't attacked anyone, have they? Not yet, Jin replied. But they destroy any automated probes we send with terrifying efficiency. And they learn from each encounter. She lowered her voice. The Council believes that if humans ever develop FTL travel on their own, they could become the most dangerous species the galaxy has ever known. What about the Maru? Tai asked. What really happened to it? Jin's face grew somber. They got too close. Despite their cloaking technology, the humans detected them instantly. We still don't know how. The Maru was captured, its crew never found. She turned to face them directly. The Council voted to destroy Earth after that incident. Tai and Hana gasped. But the vote wasn't unanimous, Jin continued. Some argued that genocide was wrong, no matter the potential threat. The compromise was permanent isolation. No contact, no interference. And you've been watching them ever since, Hana said. For 300 years, Jin confirmed. Every crew serves a 1-year rotation. We watch, we record, and we make sure. They stay in their solar system. Tai stared at the screens showing Earth. From this distance, it looked peaceful and beautiful. It was hard to believe its inhabitants were considered so dangerous. Can we see more? He asked. If we've come all this way, we should learn as much as we can. Jin hesitated, then nodded. 1 hour. Then you must leave. Jin led Tay and Hana into a smaller room filled with more screens and control panels. 2 station workers looked up in surprise when they entered, but quickly returned to their tasks when Jin nodded at them. This is our communications center, Jin explained. We don't just watch Earth visually, we also listen to their broadcasts and monitor their communications. She touched a control, and voices filled the room, human voices speaking in various languages. Some sounded excited, others serious or concerned. Can you understand what they're saying? Tay asked. Jin nodded. We have translation programs that work with most human languages now. But more importantly, we've been able to intercept and decode their data transmissions. She brought up a new screen showing what appeared to be a human news broadcast. People in formal clothing sat behind a desk, talking seriously while images appeared beside them. This is one of their global information networks, Jin said. From these broadcasts, we learn about their societies, their politics, and their attitudes. Hana watched the screen with fascination. They look so much like us. Externally, perhaps, Jin said. But their minds work differently. They're more adaptable, more aggressive in their thinking. Tay pointed to the broadcast. What are they talking about now? Jin adjusted the translation. The human's voice became clear. The 5th unidentified craft spotted this month. Military officials continued to deny any knowledge of these objects, leading to increased speculation about non-terrestrial visitors. They're talking about us? Tay asked, surprised. Jin nodded grimly. They've detected our monitoring drones occasionally, despite our best stealth technology. Rather than hiding this information, they broadcast it widely. Their entire planet debates the possibility of alien life. She changed to another channel, showing what appeared to be a military briefing. Humans in uniforms pointed to images of the sky. This is from their largest military power, Jin explained. They call these sightings UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. They've been tracking our observation drones for decades, so they know. They're being watched, Hana said. They suspect, Jin corrected. But they have no proof. And this is where it gets complicated. She brought up a series of historical recordings, decades of human military logs, scientific studies, and government documents, all related to unexplained sightings. From their perspective, unknown objects have been appearing in their skies for centuries. Objects that move in ways their technology can't explain, that seem to watch them, then disappear when approached. Tay felt a growing sense of unease. So from the human perspective, from their perspective, they're under surveillance by an unknown force that refuses to communicate, Jin finished. They've been trying to understand who's watching them and why. Have they tried to reach out, Hana asked, to communicate with whoever they think is out there? Jin's expression darkened. Yes, and that's what the council fears most. She pressed another button, bringing up a new display showing a strange pattern of signals. Humans have been broadcasting messages into space for over 3 centuries. Messages of peace, mathematics, music, art, attempts to communicate with whoever might be listening. But the Federation blocks these messages, Tay guessed. Jin nodded. Signal jammers throughout the solar system. The Council believes direct communication would only accelerate human technological development. Tai moved closer to one of the main screens showing Earth. So humans think they're alone in the universe, being watched by something that won't talk to them. No wonder they seem hostile when approached. Exactly, Jin said. They've built their entire space program and defense systems around preparing for what they believe is an inevitable alien threat. She brought up images of human space vessels and weapon systems. Every ship they build, every weapon they design, is created to counter an enemy they expect to be technologically superior. What the Federation sees as aggression is actually a species acting in perceived self-defense. Hana studied the human ships. They're expecting a fight because that's all we've shown them, running away and hiding. Jin sighed. That's my personal belief as well, but the Council sees it differently. How so? Tay asked. The Council believes humans are inherently aggressive, that their history of internal conflicts proves they can't be trusted with advanced technology, that if they joined the Galactic community, they would try to dominate it. Jin turned to a different screen showing what appeared to be official Council documents. After the Maru incident, a secret study was conducted on human psychology and history. The conclusion was that humans pose a fundamental threat to galactic stability. That's why they wanted to destroy Earth, Tay said, remembering what Jin had told them earlier. Yes, the vote was close, 7-6 against destruction. The compromise was permanent isolation. Tay thought for a moment. But that was 300 years ago. Surely humans have changed since then? They have, Jin admitted. Their societies have grown more peaceful overall, but their technological development has only accelerated. The Council reviews Earth status every 50 years, and each time concludes the risk is still too great. Jin showed them more human broadcasts, news, entertainment, scientific discussions. Tay and Hana watched in fascination as they began to see Earth not as a threat, but as a vibrant, complex world. They create art, Hana noted, watching a human musical performance. Beautiful art. And their scientific theories are remarkable, Tay added, viewing a human lecture about the universe. Sometimes wrong, but the way they think about problems is unique. Jin watched them with an unreadable expression. Now you see why this assignment is considered both punishment and privilege. We're the only ones in the galaxy who get to know humans, yet we can never interact with them. As the hour Jin had promised them drew to a close, she brought up one final display, a large map of the galaxy with Earth marked as a small, isolated dot. There's something else you should know, she said quietly. Something few people in the Federation are aware of. She entered a complex code into her control panel, and the security clearance message that appeared made Tay's eyes widen. It was higher than anything he had ever seen. The decision to isolate Earth wasn't just about protecting the galaxy from humans, Jin said. The original Council vote wasn't just about whether to destroy Earth. It was about whether to make contact, at all. The screen showed ancient Council minutes dated 3 centuries ago. The council was divided. One faction believed humans could become valuable allies precisely because they think differently than other species. They argued that human creativity and adaptability could help solve problems the Federation had struggled with for millennia. What problems? Hana asked. The void sectors, Jin replied. The dead zones where no life exists. The anomalies our scientists can't explain. The ancient ruins that predate all known civilizations. She paused. And the darkness at the edge of the galaxy that seems to be growing. Tay felt a chill. These were all rumors he had heard but never seen confirmed in the official records. Some, on the council, believed that humans, with their different way of seeing the universe, might understand things we can't, Jin continued. But the majority feared the risk was too great. So instead of partners, humans became a quarantined threat, Tay said. Jin nodded. And every 50 years when Earth's status comes up for review, the same debate happens again. So far, isolation has always won. She turned off the screens and faced them directly. Now you know the truth. The question is, what will you do with it? Tay and Hana looked at each other, both realizing they now carried knowledge few in the galaxy possessed. Knowledge that could change everything if revealed. What happens now? Tay asked. Will you report that we were here? Jin was quiet for a moment. Officially, you were never here, and I never showed you any of this, but unofficially. She handed Tay a small data crystal. This contains evidence of the Council's decision process and the true reason Earth is isolated. Use it wisely, if at all. As they prepared to leave, Tay had one final question. Commander Jin, why are you telling us all this? Why take the risk? Jin looked back at the screen showing Earth. Because after 10 years watching humans, I've come to believe the Council was wrong. Fear has driven us to create the very enemy we're afraid of. She turned to Tay and Hana. Perhaps it's time for someone else to know the truth. The journey back to Starbase Nexus was quiet. Both Tay and Hana were lost in their own thoughts, trying to process everything they had learned about Earth and its isolation. The small data crystal Jin had given them felt heavy in Tay's pocket. What are we going to do? Hana finally asked as their ship entered familiar space. If we tell anyone what we know, we could be arrested for accessing restricted information. Tay stared out at the stars. But if we say nothing, we're helping keep a lie. Humans aren't monsters. They're just different. Their ship's communication system suddenly beeped with an urgent message. Hana activated the screen. Urgent notice to all Federation personnel, a serious-looking official announced. The High Council will convene in 3 days to discuss the Earth containment protocol. All related files are now sealed until further notice. Tay and Hana looked at each other in shock. Why now? Hana whispered. The 50-year review isn't scheduled for another 48 years. Tay felt a chill run through him. Someone knows what we've been doing. They must have tracked our access to the files, our meeting with Professor Day, our visit to the monitoring station. So what do we do now? Tay made a decision. We need to see what's on this data crystal before the Council meets. We need to understand exactly what they're hiding. Back on Starbase Nexus, they went to Hana's quarters, which had better security than Tay's. They inserted the data crystal into a protected reader that couldn't be tracked by the station's systems. The files were shocking. There were detailed studies of human psychology, technology, and society going back centuries. But most disturbing was a recent report labeled Final Solution to the Earth Problem. Tay read it aloud, his voice growing more concerned with each word. Recent advances in human technology suggest they may achieve faster-than-light travel within the next century. Once this occurs, containment will no longer be possible. This committee therefore recommends implementation of Protocol Zero. What's Protocol Zero? Hana asked, though her face suggested she already knew the answer. Tay continued reading. Protocol Zero. Deployment of the new quantum disruptor to render Earth's solar system uninhabitable while maintaining plausible deniability. This approach would eliminate the threat permanently without violating the non-destruction clause of the original compromise. Hana gasped. They're planning to sterilize the entire solar system. Billions of lives. And the council is meeting in 3 days to vote on it, Tay finished. They're not just continuing the isolation, they're ending it with genocide. They sat in stunned silence for several minutes. Finally, Hana spoke. We have to stop this. But how? We're just an archivist and a communications specialist. Tay looked at the mountain of data on the crystal. Among the files was a detailed analysis of human communication systems and frequencies. What if we did what the Federation has been afraid to do for 300 years, he said slowly. What if we actually talked to them? Contact Earth? Hana's eyes widened. That would violate every protocol. The Council is about to violate the biggest protocol of all, the preservation of life, Tay countered. We have the frequencies. We have the translation programs. We could send a message. And say what? Hello, we're aliens. And by the way, our leaders are planning to destroy your world. We warn them, Tay said firmly. We tell them the truth. That they've been watched. That there's a galactic community out there and that they're in danger. Hana paced the small room. Even if we wanted to, the signal jammers around Earth's system would block any message we send from here. Tay thought for a moment. Not if we send it from inside the jamming perimeter. Not if we go back to the monitoring station. Jin would never allow it, Hana said. She gave us this data, Tay reminded her. She wanted us to know the truth. I think she might help us, especially if she knows what the Council is planning. 2 days later, they were back at the hidden monitoring station. This time, their arrival wasn't a surprise. Jin was waiting for them in the docking bay. I wondered if you'd return, she said, her face grim. You've heard about the Council meeting? Tay nodded. We know about Protocol Zero. They're going to destroy Earth. Jin led them quickly through the station to her private office. I was informed yesterday. After 300 years of debate, the balance has finally tipped. The Council believes humans are too close to developing FTL travel. We want to warn them, Hana said. We want to send a message to Earth. Jin looked at them for a long moment. Do you understand what you're suggesting? This would violate 3 centuries of policy. It would end both your careers, possibly your freedom. And doing nothing would end billions of lives, Tay replied. Can you live with that? Jin closed, her eyes briefly. No, she said finally. I can't. She activated a control panel on her desk. I can disable the jammers for exactly 2 minutes. That's all I can give you without it being detected as a system failure rather than a deliberate act. 2 minutes is enough, Hana said. I've prepared a simple message based on the human communication protocols in your data files. Jin looked troubled. Are you sure the humans will even understand or believe you? We don't know, Tay admitted. But they deserve a chance. Jin nodded slowly. The communications center. Now. We have to hurry. In the communications center, Hana quickly set up the transmission while Tay worked with Jin to adjust the jammers. The message is ready, Hana announced, a simple text and audio combination, translated into Earth's 5 most common languages. What exactly are you telling them? Jin asked. Tay showed her the message on the screen. People of Earth, you are not alone and you are not under attack. We apologize for watching from the shadows. We come in peace and request dialogue. Danger approaches your world. Please respond on this frequency. Jin read it twice. Simple and direct, she said. Let's hope they believe it. She turned to her control panel. Jammers disabling in 3, 2, 1. Sending now, Hana said, activating the transmission. For a tense minute, nothing happened. The message beamed toward Earth, carrying the first direct communication from the Federation in 300 years. Then, to their shock, a response came almost immediately. It appeared on the screen, simple text in one of Earth's languages. We've been waiting for 300 years for someone to finally answer. We have much to discuss. Tay, Hana, and Jin stared at the message in disbelief. They responded that fast? Jin whispered. How is that possible? Another message followed. Your monitoring stations have been observed. Your cloaking technology is detectable to our systems. We have known of your presence since you first arrived. They knew, Tay said, stunned. They knew all along they weren't alone. A third message appeared. We understand your caution. Our history is violent, but we have evolved. We have prepared for this moment. Tell your council we wish to speak before they vote. How do they know about the council vote? Jin asked, her face pale. Hana looked just as shocked. I don't know. But we need to reconnect the jammers before the system registers the disruption. Wait, Tay said. One more message. He quickly typed. How long have you known about us? The answer came back immediately. Since the Maru. We did not harm them. They chose to stay. As the jammers came back online, cutting off further communication, the three of them stood in silence, trying to process what had just happened. The crew of the Maru is still alive, Jin finally said. After 300 years? We need to get this information to the council before they vote, Tay said urgently. This changes everything. 2 days later, Tay stood before the High Council, his legs shaking but his voice firm. He had been summoned after submitting an emergency petition with the evidence from the data crystal and the communication with Earth. The 12 council members watched him with expressions ranging from anger to curiosity. Senior Archivist Tay, the council leader, said, You stand accused of accessing restricted files, visiting prohibited locations, and violating the Earth Containment Protocol. How do you respond? Tay looked at each council member in turn. I did those things because I discovered the truth you've been hiding. Humans aren't a threat to be eliminated. They're a species we've misunderstood for 3 centuries. Murmurs filled the chamber. I've brought evidence, Tay continued, that humans knew about us all along. They've been waiting for us to speak to them, and now they wish to speak to you before you vote on Protocol 0. This is unprecedented, one council member said. No communication with Earth has ever been authorized. Yet it has happened, another council member replied, and we must address it. The debate lasted for hours. Some council members demanded Tay's immediate imprisonment. Others wanted to hear more about the human response. Finally, the council leader raised a hand for silence. The original decision to isolate Earth was based on fear and misunderstanding. Perhaps it is time to reconsider. I propose we postpone the vote on Protocol 0 and instead establish a first contact team. The vote was close, 7-5 in favor of contact. 1 month later, Tay stood with Hana aboard a Federation diplomatic vessel approaching Earth's orbit. The ship carried representatives from across the galaxy, trained in first contact protocols. On the viewing screen, a human ship approached to meet them. It was smaller than the Federation vessel, but moved with impressive precision. Earth delegation ready to dock, the communications office.